Look down before you flush, just once. Whatever showed up today, the smooth log, the soft serve curl, the sad little pebbles, you probably chalk it up to what you ate, or luck, or your genes. Wrong on all three. That shape didn't happen to you. It was manufactured to a spec, stamped out inside you before it ever saw daylight. Something you can't feel is running the machine. It's been running it your whole life, and the second you see what it is, the bowl stops being disgusting and starts being evidence. Start with the log everyone treats as normal. That smooth shape is not a picture of your dinner, it's a cast of your pipe. Run your hand down a colon and you'd feel 3 muscle ribbons stretched along it, each one cut shorter than the wall it rides on, so they cinch the whole tube into a string of little pouches. Those pouches knead and press whatever arrives into one fixed cross-section, the exact way a pasta die forces soft dough into a single unchanging shape. The food is just filler, the die is you, and the mold barely matters next to the timer. Take one identical batch of waste. It can leave as soup or as a dry little pellet, and nothing on your plate decides which. The clock does. The longer it sits in the colon, the more water the wall drinks back out of it. That is the entire distance between diarrhea and a rabbit-hard nugget. A few extra hours in the dark. Same material. Different weight. Doctors trust that clock so completely they read it backwards, straight off the shape. That backward read has a name. The Bristol Stool Scale, 7 shapes running from hard pebbles to pure liquid. It came out of a 1997 study with just 66 volunteers who swallowed marker pellets so researchers could time the trick through their guts, then matched each speed to the shape it produced. From that one small experiment, a hospital anywhere on Earth can now estimate how fast your insides run without laying a finger on you. Just the silhouette. Before you trust that silhouette as a solid, weigh it. Put it on a scale, and about 3/4 of the weight is water. What you flush is a wrung-out sponge, dried down by the colon to a target moisture and stopped right there. That is why a single dry day, or one extra fistful of fiber, can flip the whole form overnight. You're not passing a solid, you're passing a controlled leak. And most of the dry part that's left over was never your dinner either. Dry it all the way out and weigh what stays behind. The biggest single ingredient isn't food at all. It's bacteria, up to half the dry mass, mostly the corpses of the trillions of microbes you spent all week feeding. Every log you make is partly a graveyard, a whole civilization that lived inside you, died on schedule, and got shipped out without once asking your permission. Weigh those microbes against your shape and they line up. In 2016, researchers lined up stool consistency against people's gut bacteria, and the shape tracked the microbiome almost point per point. Firmer or looser matched which species were winning and how rich the whole community was. So your everyday shape is a rough fingerprint of an invisible ecosystem you carry around. Form and flora turn on one dial, not two. Change the bugs and you change the shape. The same microbes even mixed in the color. The brown isn't a food stain, it's recycled blood. Your worn-out red blood cells get torn down into bilirubin, the liver pours it into bile, and the gut bacteria finish the job by turning it brown on the way out. That is why a pale, chalk-white stool is an alarm and not a curiosity. It means the bile route is blocked and the color your body assigned never arrived. Color is one dial, the microbes turn. The texture dial is fiber, and it bites back. Fiber is the one lever that pulls in both directions. Soluble fiber builds a water-trapping gel that firms up a runny stool and softens a hard one, the same additive rescuing two opposite problems. But there is a trap wired into it. Load up on fiber and skip the water, and the gel has nothing to hold, so you manufacture the exact cracked, wedged brick you were trying to avoid. There is exactly one stool in your life, the microbes never touched, and it proves the whole case backward. A newborn's very first stool is a black-green tar made of swallowed amniotic fluid, shed skin cells, and bile, and it's almost completely odorless. Not because babies are innocent, but because the gut hasn't been colonized by a single bacterium yet. The one poop you make without microbes has no smell and a shape like nothing you'll ever produce again. Take the bacteria away and the entire product changes. That's the proof, running in reverse. Now meet the animal that breaks the shape rule on purpose. The wombat is the only animal on Earth that poops in cubes, sharp-cornered dice stacked in little towers on rocks and logs. For years, the obvious guess was a square back door, some mold at the exit stamping each side flat. Then researchers dissected them, and the answer was stranger. The corners form deep inside in the last stretch of intestine, long before anything reaches the exit. Same organs you're carrying right now. No cutter at the door. The pipe itself sculpts the shape from within. That kills the door theory dead, and it means your smooth sausage was carved the very same way, just with gentler walls. The trick behind those corners is stupidly simple, and it's running inside you right now. The cube is just a stiffness pattern. Run your eye around a wombat's gut wall and you'd find 2 stiff strips and 2 softer ones circling the tube. The stiff bands squeeze faster and harder, pinching flat faces and clean corners into the drying mass over the 100,000 or so contractions it rides through in the days it spends inside. There is nothing square anywhere in the machine, only hard zones and soft zones in a pipe. Your colon runs the identical trick on different settings, and out comes a rod instead of a die. That shape also turns out to have a job, and the cube has a purpose. Wombats pile their droppings on top of rocks and logs to mark territory, and flat sides are exactly what keep the marker from rolling off the slope and out of sight. The shape isn't decoration, it's engineered to stay put. That quietly flips the whole question you started with. Not why is it that shape, but what the shape is for. Strip out the organ that does the ringing, and the shape vanishes altogether. Birds and snakes don't make a shaped log at all. They never split the water off in the first place, so it leaves as a wet streak capped with white uric acid, waste, and urine fused into one mess. The neat log you produce depends on owning a colon that pulls water back out. Skip that single organ, and the shape is simply gone. The silhouette isn't the animal, it's the body plan. When the shape is that reliable, it becomes a name tag. Rabbits drop round pea pellets a few millimeters across. Deer leave faint little ovals. Neither one resembles a formed log in the slightest. The signature is so dependable that field guides name the animal off the droppings alone, no sighting required. The same shape reads the body logic as the Bristol chart, just aimed at wildlife instead of patients. Shape reports the body every time, across every species that has one. Freeze that name tag for 12 centuries and it still holds. In 1972, digging under a bank in York, archaeologists lifted out a Viking-age human stool that had fossilized whole, about 8 inches long, still holding a clean sausage shape after 1,200 years. It's insured for roughly $39,000, and the man who studied it called it as irreplaceable as the crown jewels. When a museum later dropped it and it snapped into pieces, they carefully glued it back together. The shape outlived the person who made it by 12 centuries. A bigger one, tens of millions of years older, still has the last meal locked inside. The largest meat-eater coprolite ever dug up is over 1.5 feet long, dropped by a T-Rex in what's now Saskatchewan, and it's studded with the crushed bone of a young plant-eating dinosaur. You can read the last meal straight out of the rock, hard-proof the animal splintered bone and swallowed it whole. 65 million years after the fact, the shape is still testifying about the body that produced it. Read your own shape the same way, and it can warn you before you feel a thing. Here's where it stops being trivia. A stool that turns persistently pencil-thin or flat like a ribbon can be the first quiet sign of a tumor narrowing the channel it's molded through. The shape thins because the pipe thinned. The same manufacturing that stamps your ordinary log is also filing a report on the state of the factory, and a change in the outline can betray a blockage you cannot feel yet. No pain, no warning, just a different shape in the bowl, which points straight back at the thing you've been flushing past without a glance. So step back from the bowl one last time. Every shape you have ever made was manufactured to a spec you never set, cinched by muscle you can't feel, timed by a clock that runs 6 times faster in one healthy person than in the next, colored with your own spent blood, built half out of creatures that aren't even you. There's an official correct shape, and hitting it doesn't prove you're healthy so much as it means 3 hidden dials happened to line up that day. You were never the author of the thing you flush. You're the factory, and it has been filing a daily report on you your entire life. You just never learned to read it.